this around a little bit, figure this out. It's actually working. I have figured out, I am a live stream master. I have figured this out. The way to do a live stream is if you're going to do it on the phone, if you know you're going to use the phone, you set it up on the phone. That means I got to do the thumbnail and all that stuff on the computer, transport it here, boom, there it is. On the other hand, if you're going to do it on a computer, you set it up on the computer because you can't switch them between the two. Man, did I have trouble last time, but we are starting on time. How great is that? Genevieve is right here. Show them your crossbow, Genevieve.
Yay.
Yeah, she's all got it all cocked and ready to go. She's going to show you what we got out here. Go out there and show them what we got, Genevieve. Take that crossbow with you. Go out there and show them what we're doing. Genevieve is today's shooter. She is the one who's going to be doing all of the shooting. You can see my hand cart right here. That's the heavy-duty hand cart. My target's sitting on that. The laptop's on the target. But Genevieve is out there next to our very redneck-looking contraption. This is redneck science. That's right. Science at its finest right there. By Bunjie style, the fun style. We have an old tire ready to be shot at and butchered, right?
Yeah.
We have a whole bunch of it's set on sawhorses. It's got the block target behind it just in case we miss. She will catch her arrows in that block target. That will be pretty slick. So, pretty neat. We have a handful of targets. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to go back. Genevieve ready to take a shot. I'm going to give her the arrows with which she will be shooting. We have 6 arrows. Genevieve's doing all the shooting today. Can you believe that? And she is shooting pro flight arrows. Each will be adorned with a separate broadhead style. And she doesn't even know each of the 6 types. It's not going to make any difference on her end. She's going to carefully place them in her freshly lubed rail, right?
Yep.
She's going to place them in there. She's going to take a competent shot. I don't care about accuracy, but we did take a couple test shots just to make sure it's not going to embarrass ourselves too much on here. But all you got to do is hit the tire. That's it, right?
Go ahead. We don't want to hear, where'd that go?
Where'd that go? Where'd that go? Yeah, live streams, anything can happen. You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
You are probably wondering which types of broadheads, what broadheads we're going to test today. We have 6 broadheads we're going to test. 6 of them, 6 arrows. Probably wondering what types. Are you wondering what types, Genevieve?
Yeah.
A little bit. So it doesn't make any difference on her end. Again, if these broadheads miss the target at 10 yards, that's on the broadhead, not on Genevieve. So there you go. But we're going to be testing both types of broadheads on this live stream. That's pretty exciting. It's going to be very beneficial, very educational, very informative because we're testing both types. In case you were wondering, we are testing both types. The first type, of course, is the Rage Crossbow Hypodermic. And the other type of broadhead we're testing is the Rage Trypan.
Both types.
Both types. Isn't that funny? I set that joke up ahead of time. Actually, she knew I was going to tell you that joke, but we are shooting both of those, okay? We are shooting them both at the tire, and we're going to test penetration, one broadhead versus another, on identical arrows. This isn't the most scientific, but it's going to be fun. I saw this done in another video. I didn't get this idea myself, but my buddy Pat, the guy that was here, did the center point crossbow video with me. He gave us this tire, donated to the cause for Death by Bunjie. Also a donation from a friend of Bunjie is the Tru Glo mechanical 4-blade. Ooh, 100 grain broadhead. We're going to shoot these at them. If you look at these guys, and I'll get them out of the boxes carefully, try not to injure myself and cut myself on a live stream here, but it is a 4-blade. You can see there, 1 3/4 inch cutting diameter. It looks like a scaled down version, slightly scaled down version of the Hypodermic to me. That's what it looks like. We are also going to be testing for you fixed blade guys. That's the other type of broadhead I know, and there's a few different kinds of fixed blades, but I have an old pack here. It's been beat up, it's been sitting here, but it's unopened, so I'm going to open these things today. I even have a knife, my dad's old sheetrock knife. I got that out here. We're going to try and fire that up today and open up some of these things without killing myself. But I have a beat up but old package of bolt cutters. $36.99 for these guys, right? $36.99. But we'll pry out one of those there and get that on there, and we're going to shoot that. That's our fixed blade broadhead test. And then lastly, we have the Excalibur, not lastly, but the Excalibur X-Act. I use these for a lot of years. This is a different style of mechanical. We'll test those. We're going to shoot those at the old tire. And then lastly, last but not least, a couple of super chats. A super chat from Frank Bruner for tomorrow's Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I had my iced coffee this morning. That will start off the week perfectly. Tomorrow's Monday already. Can you believe that? But it is what it is. It's been a busy weekend. We put together a lot of videos, shot videos this morning. We did a lot of stuff, didn't we, kid?
Yeah.
Pretty exciting. But the last broadhead choice that we have is the, boom, right there it is, the Swa-hackers. The Swa-hacker massive 3-inch cut, 150 grain. So
It's Swhacker, not Swa-hacker. It's Swhacker.
it's Shwa-hacker?
Swhacker.
No, it's Swa-hacker.
No.
Swa-hacker.
You say it Swhacker. That's how literally everybody says it.
No, that's different broadheads. These are Swa-hackers. Swa-hacker. So there.
Okay. You say it how you want to say it.
Hey, if they wanted it pronounced Shwacker, it would be S-H-W-hacker, but instead it's Swa-hacker. These are Swa-hackers. So totally change the name. That's what they get from me. Anyway, we're going to try these out. Genevieve's sitting there with Bunjie Jr. all cocked and ready to go. Ooh, but we got to do something first. We have to do something first, don't we?
Ooh, yeah.
It wasn't get a drink, but I do need a drink. Got to watch that voice, man. Crossbow Appreciation Month's only halfway through, and I'm running out. My voice is running out. We have 6 choices. I have written them down for your reference. And Genevieve and I are going to write down our picks for who gets the most penetration, and we're going to put them in these envelopes. Ooh, we're going to put them in there, and then we'll open them at the end and see how each one of us did and see if we were close. That puts a little more pressure on us, right? Both of us, because now I'm guessing on these 6. You will go through there and pick yours, put them in the comments. How about that? We'll go back through the live stream. Anybody who guesses the penetration that we get at the very end of this thing, I'll send you a little bit of Death by Bunjie fun stuff in the mail, okay? So I'll contact you separately. Hopefully there's not a million of you, but we'll figure it out. There's 100 people watching or so, but if you guys get in order of penetration, the right amount, and I'll post it in a post later on what the amounts were. We'll divvy it up. But we're going to go through here and take notes and write it all down because we're going to measure it. I got a tape measure in here and some painter's tape. We're going to see how the broadheads performed, whether they opened or not. That's kind of important, right? At least for everything but the bolt cutters. And if you think the bolt cutter is number 1, then you should put that one first. You should put them in order that you think is the proper order. So you got to have the right broadheads listed here, right, in order to play this little game. So you got the Hypodermic, the Rage Trypan, the Swa-hacker, 3-inch, the X-ax, the bolt cutter, and then the Tru Glo. You can put whatever you say here, as long as you've got somewhere in the ballpark. But type in the comments what you think the order will be. So you can put like Hypo, Trypan, Swhacker, X-ax, bolt, whatever order you think. The best penetration first, whatever one's best, to the worst. Okay? There. That's how we're going to do. The best penetrating one first, least penetrating one last. That's what we're going to write down. And for your reference, some of these are 100 grainers, right? The Rage Hypodermic's a 100 grainer. The Rage Trypan's a 150. The Swhacker's a 150. The X-ax is 100. The bolt cutter's a 150, and the Tru Glo's a 100. Take that into account. I do have these little doodads, but I'm not going to use them. I was thinking of doing that, but I'm not going to do that. I just don't want Genevieve missing the tire, but I have the 50 grain insert to make the 100 grain broadheads 150 grain, but that's actually given them an advantage that they didn't possess as purely as a broadhead.
Let's just do the plain broadhead.
Genevieve wants to do the plain broadhead. Do you think you're going to hit the mark, though?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, as long as you hit the tire, I don't care. That's really the big thing.
Another
super chat from Robert Kohler. It's Swa-hacker, S-W-H-A. He's spelling it out for me. Some of these jokes I work up ahead of time.
You're saying it wrong. I'm telling you.
Nobody knows. It's a name. How can you say it wrong, man? I still stand, I think it's spelled wrong. I do pick broadheads based on the name sometimes. Okay, I really do. I do. I don't. There is a dead meat broadhead that you will never find me shooting that broadhead ever in my life. I will never shoot a broadhead that is called a dead meat broadhead.
Why not?
That's dead meat. That's just awful. That's not what I'm about. That's not what Death by Bunjie's about. I mean, Swhacker, Swhacker, we're swacking it. I don't know, but Trypan. I don't know what a Trypan is, but that's a cool name. Hypodermic. I get that. It's pointy.
Surgical.
I get that. Exact. It's got like a little play on Excalibur. I get that, Boltcutter. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Tru Glo. It doesn't glow, but I guess the name means something to me, right? Says the guy who came up with a goofy name for his crossbow.
I was just gonna say, you named him Bunjie. I don't think you have room to time.
All right, so first things first, before we start shooting, Genevieve, we have our list. You have to go through, I haven't even thought about this, to be honest with you, but we have our choices, and I'm gonna give you a sheet of paper. We're sharing a pen. You only brought out one pen. What's up with that?
I just realized that.
Write down your choices, and I'll talk about stuff in the meantime. So I'll write down my choices real quick. I'll wait till the end to do my choices.
Okay.
That's not fair. But you guys got to put your what you're going to be doing. Write them in there, because if you don't do it, if you do it after the first shot that we take, it doesn't count, right? You're not really competing. You're not really guessing if you wait until we've taken a few shots to put in there. So this little contest is only for, here, you can look at the list, and I'll show them the various broadheads. So you can put them in order. You can put, if you think Tru Glo, thank you, Friend of Bunjie Jim, for sharing this with me. He's going to be on a future episode of Death by Bunjie. I hope if we can work things out, that'll be fun. But he's a local guy shooting some really good stuff, got some neat stories to tell. There's one remaining unused. These are all fresh broadheads, 100% fresh broadheads, 100 grain Tru Glo right there, 4-blade. That is a 1 3/4 inch mechanical. We've got the Trypans, the 150 grainers. Those are, it's a brand new package, but they bounced around in here real nice. That's great. We got a fresh package of Rage Crossbow Hypodermics. I probably should have looked in there and found out the ones. So, and then we've got the Swa-hackers, the Swhackers, 150 grainers, 3-inch cut. And then we've got somewhere here, there's other ones that we're not looking at, the Excal dudes. We got an Excalibur X-Act, 100 grain, and a 150 grain bolt cutter for your perusal as well. So get those choices in. I'm not seeing a lot of people put them in here, but yep, I do. Finally, we see some people listing their amounts, their lists. I'm not looking at Genevieve's. I'm not looking at it, but oops, she just handed me this. You guys remember Johnny Carson? Genevieve doesn't remember Johnny Carson. But I am opening up this little envelope, dropping it in there. I'm going to need a drink of water. And sealing it. So that way we know it's legit, right?
Write my name on
And I'm
there.
going to write GK Dub on here. GK Dub. We'll open that live shortly and find out how she did. I'm throwing it over there where it will not be tampered with. Now I have to put my choices together. I'm not going to read them out loud, but I'm going to put them down on here. Does it count if I don't spell it correctly? As long as it is decipherable, I think we're good. I'm going to do... Some of these I've never shot a Tru Glo, so it's hard for me to pick out of those. You guys are going to learn a lot about Richie when you read my list. So my guesses are in. Are your guesses in? And before we take that first shot, I'm going to give you guys... Oop, I need that pen back. But so I have my guesses in. I'm not going to show you what they are. I'm going to fold it up here, right? Folding up my choices. I am sliding it in the envelope on live television, live YouTubery. Mine are in. Well, mine's the one that doesn't say GKW on it, but it also says raw. How's that? Put it on there. That's my initials. Kaboom! We're good. We don't need the pen anymore. Now, if you have not already voted, if you have not already selected and signed it away, you're putting it on the line here, right? What's the order of penetration? This isn't the most scientific test, and if there's a bad shot that accounts for the difference, it is what it is, right? That's just the way it is. But if you get them in order, I'll send you some fun little Death by Bunjie swag if you get these in before Genevieve takes her first shot. You need to list them from the order, not this order, unless you think this is the order, in the order of best penetration. Put them in, type them right in there, and we'll see how you guys did, right? So anybody that gets it right, all 6 of them, we'll send you some fun Death by Bunjie gear, right? So hopefully there's not a million of them. You don't bankrupt me on this thing. There's over 100 people on here already.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. I think this is awesome. A lot of fun. This will be a fun live stream. Now, one more drink. I'm doing all the talking, but I'm not doing any of the shooting. The pressure is off me, Genevieve.
I know, I gotta hit it.
Genevieve's got to hit the tire. For those of you who might be joining us late, There's Miss Genevieve. Hi. And she's got Bunjie Jr. over there ready to go. I want to show you one thing real quick, too. Genevieve is wearing her Death by Bunjie Jr. t-shirt. Yep. Can you show them that t-shirt? Look at that. Death by Bunjie Jr. t-shirt. Her very own t-shirt. That's pretty awesome. You can check that out on deathbybunjie.com. In the background, you see the our little support that we use. That's on the gear page on deathbybunjie.com. So if you want to see the gear that we use, you can see links to it there, little descriptions of it, all that fun stuff. If you look out here at our target, you will see the block target that you can purchase off of Amazon. You can see links to that on our Death by Bunjie gear page. You will notice that sawhorses and the tire, probably you can't get those on Amazon. Maybe someday. Maybe someday. Genevieve's like, can I shoot something? We're going to pull out an arrow. Got a little pro flight here. We're going to start. I'm just going to go in any order. I'm going to start. We'll start with Jim's Death by Bunjie, Friend of Bunjie Jim's Tru Glos, titanium. We're going to start with those. So if your guesses are in, fantastic. If you don't have your guesses in, you are out of luck. It's all over. So hopefully you guys got some good guesses in here. Hopefully some of us get it right. That'd be fun. But it's kind of hard with 6. With 6 different broadheads, it is statistically difficult. But you don't have to be reaching over here. Not with sharp things. She's like reaching over to help me because I'm in desperate need of help most times. But she doesn't need to help me with this. I don't know what I'm looking at here. This is this broadhead, okay? That is the Tru Glo 4-blade. I'm going to put it in front of my face so that you can see it. Ooh, that looks sharp on there, doesn't it? Wow, that looks sharp. It's a mean looking broadhead. He loves these. He had a really good luck with those. I am going, like, you don't shoot it. How do you close it?
There's no directions.
There's no directions. We're just going to close it. It's going 10 yards. If you can't hit the tire, if this thing opens prematurely, then that's just the way it is. That's on the broadhead. Again, not me. So we're going to close it up. There's no retention rings or anything?
No.
There's nothing else in the package?
There's a little, like a wrench.
A wrench?
Yeah,
so
the
you
wrench.
All right. This is the only other thing that was in the package is a little wrench. So if I've screwed this up, it's on me. But that's part of the risks that we take when we gamble on these broadheads. My goal number 1 is not to hurt myself installing it. I'm closing it up. I'm just going to screw it on here. It's only going 10 yards. If it opens prematurely and misses the target, then it loses. How's that? At least we would know that. So the wrench, okay, it's got a wrench for a 3-blade, wrench for a 4-blade. This is a nice wrench. Jim will want that back, I bet. I like having wrenches around. So we'll just tighten it that a little bit. I haven't used one of these in a long time. I do the hypodermics by hand. I always typically do them by hand. But that's a nice little wrench, so we'll get that back to him just the same. I have some not nearly as nice wrenches, but I don't even use the wrenches with the current ones. If this results in us, there we go, let's get this going. If this results in us changing it, then so be it. It is what it is. Changing broadheads, who knows? This might result in us changing broadheads. So she's gonna fire this up. They're closed like that. You can see how these things work for people who might be wondering, but the deer's hide will make contact with these little fingers that stick out, and then it will force them. I do want to talk about each of these broadheads while I'm working on them, while we're shooting them, but it'll open up on impact, presumably, to that, and go through. So we should have this shape of, that should account for the shape of the incision in the tire, right? We're not going to be using this tire after today. I'm betting that's the case. But that's the way it would go through. Some comments on this. I do like this tip. I like that a lot. That's a Grim Reaper style. You see those on the Grim Reapers. I like the chisel tips. I really do. I like the 4-blade. I don't know about that. But these are what they call those bleeders, the smaller ones. They typically call those bleeders. To me, every blade on here is a bleeder. I don't know why I need bleeders.
At least it should be.
It should be. That's the whole point here. But get it? Point? Okay. These aren't too bad. They're kind of a lower profile, too. If you look at them this way, I kind of like that. Those little fingers I was talking about that stick out to open up those blades and help them deploy, those don't take up an awful, they aren't real fat, so they aren't going to decrease your penetration by offering all that extra resistance, but we will see. Boy, they are sharp. Ooh, are these sharp. All of these are brand new broadheads, but I got to tell you, these little dudes, they're catching my fingers nicely. So you are going to be very careful installing this and putting it on your crossbow. She's like, finally, an arrow. Ooh, finally I get an arrow. So Genevieve will carefully install that. I'm going to switch you guys around. so that you can see what's about to happen, how it's about to be going on. We're going to see if we can do that right there. You wait for me. Give me a second here, kid. All right, and while she is taking that shot at that poor, defenseless tire, I am going to fish out a second broadhead.
You ready?
Yep.
Alrighty.
Just hit it in the middle of the tire. Then we're going to rotate the tire.
Here we go.
Woo! That was a good shot.
Ooh, it deflected a little.
It deflected a little?
It went in crooked. I can see it.
Oh, well, let's go. We will look at that. Okay.
It's angled to the left just a little bit. That's kind of weird.
All right, hold on a second. I'm going to switch you around so you can tell them what you're seeing, because we're at an angle. Can you tell them what you're seeing over there, Miss Genevieve?
I noticed when I looked through the scope, it hit, and then it shot off to the side a little bit on the back end. And I can see it looking at it now.
Is it lined up in the middle of that tire?
Yeah.
I mean, height-wise, it's not perfectly up and down, but is it?
It went where I was aiming.
It went where you were aiming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And that's a 100 grain broadhead.
Yep.
They're going to fall all over the place. All right. Pretty sweet. Well, we will see. We're going to, let's go rotate that tire for us. Now remember, Genevieve, you're going to go out and do that.
Should we measure it first?
Nope, we're doing that last.
Okay.
They're not going anywhere. We're not pulling them out. Oh, why do I keep switching it? All right. Go out there and rotate that tire. And all you're going to do, can you do that? Or you think you can move that tire?
Yeah.
Tire's pretty heavy to begin with, but I got to tell you, it also, oh, that's good. Just so you're not hitting the next broadhead, the next tire. That's perfect. Because I think now you got room for.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Now, these are 16.5-inch arrows. You guys can kind of tell already how these dudes are performing penetration-wise. So, there you go. Someone is asking, does the tire have steel bands? I don't know. That's a good question. I bet it does. But I can tell you that all of these arrows are shooting at the same tire, so that counts for something as far as the science is concerned, I guess. And the other thing I will tell you is no one's using this tire after today. That's a fact. Hopefully these things penetrate enough to put a little air in the tire. Oh, it does have a lot of water in the bottom and probably a lot of mosquito eggs.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
I can confirm.
Thing weighs about twice what we thought it did because it's full of water sloshing around. Got us all soaked this morning, everything else. The next broadhead, going on a fresh Pro Flight arrow, is one that I killed a lot of deer with. A lot of these broadheads I've used already. But, ooh, I don't want the little collar for it. I gotta get the little collar out. But this is a neat one. But I had one of these that didn't open on me. Now that is, I know, and I'm a big critic of that when people say, oh, the broadhead didn't open. I'm a big critic of that because that does sounds like BS to me. But it did happen to me once. There is, in fact, a video on YouTube where I found the deer no problem. And you could tell that the hole in that deer was precisely as big around as my pinky. That was the hole in the deer. And it killed the deer, plain and simple. But it was these broadheads, the X-Act from Excalibur. And I lost a deer that same season, did a video on that down there in Maryland, that little buck. And it wasn't the greatest of shots, but it's one of the reasons I switched to a bigger broadhead was that season. You know, we change, a lot of our decisions are based on our experience. And tests like this help. They're only part of the experience, though. You got to constantly be on the evaluation process for everything that goes on in this business. This is the X-Act broadhead. I shot a lot of deer with this. It worked great. Great penetration with this, I will tell you, over the years. But this is why. Now, it's a fold-down style, right? These are brand new, so it should be real sharp. But it's got those little fingers on there. Those are blunt. They would hit the hide of the deer, and then it opens up. Chisel tip. I like the chisel tip. It's a good looking tip. But the other thing about this, and it's not going to focus on this one for some reason. No, whatever. But you get the idea. They are real sharp, but they fold down. But there's your cutting diameter, right? It is a smaller cutting diameter. And, you know, they call it like a 1 in, what do they advertise them as? The X-Act is a 1 in 7/16 cutting diameter. So it's not even 1.5 inches. It's less than 1.5 inches. So it's not the biggest cutting diameter. But penetration should be pretty good with it. Chisel tip should be pretty good with it. They flew pretty accurate, but when I was doing broadhead tests back when I switched, I actually have another broadhead here that outperformed it, and that's the reason I went with that other broadhead. And then I saw the cutting diameter of the new broadhead, which was what I was going for, and wow, that's why I stuck with that new broadhead. But there's trade-offs in this business, right? Genevieve, I am handing you another another arrow. Can you believe that? We are at 24:55. That doesn't help. What am I doing? I'm
Technology.
trying to. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need a separate camera person. You got to get your mother in on this business.
Oh no, she's not running the camera.
You don't think so?
No.
All right. Well, see what you can do. Try and put it in the middle of that tire.
Okay.
And we're gonna turn it around here. Let me get the camera set up. This is the Crossbow, the Excalibur X-Act 100 grainer. Come on, X-Act. Let's see what it does. I like the sound of the tunk sound of this. It's pretty slick when it hits that tire. So this is not my idea. There was someone else on the YouTubes with the tire.
All right, fire in the hole.
Boom! That was a good one. Put some
That
stank on it.
one is not crooked.
That one is not crooked.
It's straight and it didn't wiggle around.
We will talk about that further. When we get up there, we are going to talk about that, and we are going to talk about what you're talking about. But she is saying some of these arrows are not flying right. Now, I may not have installed. That is not necessarily proof that the Tru Glo is not a good broadhead. I'm not saying that at all. These broadheads were the first shot, but that arrow went in at a little bit of a, got a little tweak, didn't it?
Yeah.
Went in a little bit, you know, it didn't go in like this. It went in not straight as an arrow, went in an angle a little bit. You can go rotate your tire. She's going to rotate that tire for the next shot. We're going to get you guys set up for the next era. I got another pro flight. And thank you guys for the super chats. Oh, you guys are fantastic. I will go through the comments. I do intend to go through the comments and then comment on what's going on with like the super chats and all that stuff. I actually have these here. Robert B. Kolar Jr. says super chat and says sever, over and over. Sever. The guys that shoot the severs really like well, the guys that shoot the rages really like the rages, right? Until they don't like the rages. That's the old saying in broadheads, is that it works fantastic until it doesn't. And that's kind of, you know, maybe the severs, I don't know. I have a sever coming that will be part of future testing. How about that? Someone sent me a sever. I got it on the way, and I'm going to try it out. I'm not going to go buy a whole bunch of broadheads and shoot them at tires. But if some of these perform and we end up changing, maybe we try them out at the meet and greet coming up next week. That's going to be some fun. Death by Bungie Crossbow Appreciation Month. Fun there, if you ask me. This next one, I have a soft spot in my heart for this next broadhead. A soft spot in my heart. Did you know that? This is the Excalibur Boltcutter. Now, fixed blade broadhead. I'm not a fan of fixed blades. You guys know that. The reason being that when I shot these things, it took me a season or two and a couple of lost deer to figure out that these things, you got to tune them and figure them out. And that at 20 yards, it doesn't fly the same as at 10 yards. And I don't know. They don't even fly. Like I put this one on and it will not fly. These are brand new and I got to be careful because they're a little sharp. 150 grain broadhead, though, small cutting diameter, microscopic cutting diameter. This cutting diameter is 1 1/16. That is no.
It's as wide as the rage before it opens.
Penetration is not a problem for these broadheads, but it shouldn't be a problem because there's not very much broadhead there. I mean, it's only 1 1/16. So these this is going to penetrate well, I suspect. It should perform well in our tests, who knows. But the bolt cutters, there's nothing wrong with shooting with these, right? But my problem with them is I like plug and play. I like to be able to just put a broadhead on there, screw it on, and then go kill something with it. And it should be performing the way I want it to perform. And so I test them ahead of time to make sure that they're shooting straight and they fly nice with my arrows and they play nice with the crossbow. And once I'm sure of that, I don't have to worry about opening a new package, putting one on, and testing that broadhead to make sure that one's going to fly well or a little bit different from the other one that's in the same package. I don't want to get into that. That's my opinion, and that's why I don't like the fixed blades. But this is this is a standard broadhead that can do an awful lot, and you can sharpen them. You can replace those blades if they get bent or broken. They are the workhorses of broadheads. I'm going to carefully hand that over to Miss Genevieve. She's got her crossbow all cocked, and she's going to get ready to fire that in her big old tire test. So, and then we will, at the end, we'll go out. She's going to keep rotating that tire. We're going to go out and we'll measure them before we're done. Okay, we'll pull the arrows out. We'll also check and see what those incisions look like in the tread. Very important. And we will see if how they performed, how those arrows perform for penetration, but also how those broadheads, whether they survived the test. Let me flip this around so you can watch Miss Genevieve take that shot. We need that music from Death by Bunjie, don't we?
Yeah. You can pretend it's there.
Katunk. Now that one, that looks like it penetrated nicely, and it looks like it went...
That's straight too.
It went straight. Yep. She's telling us that, but it also looks like it penetrated nicely. But it's also at the right level. Do you notice that when you go to 150 grain, it's shooting a... Well, you're aiming the same, or... Look, there's geese. Yeah. This is a hunting-related channel. Can you guys see those geese up there? Yeah, look at that. Geese are moving. I do like to share stuff like that if possible. I think that's pretty slick. Sitting in the backyard here. Can't beat it. So that's that. When she go out there, and she's going to have you go out there and rotate that tire. Give that a good rotation like you've been doing, because that looks like you're doing a good job. And we're going to go on to the Mac Daddy of broadheads here. If you guys are new to Death by Bunjie, if you are unfamiliar with what it is that I like about broadheads, I'm a rageaholic, aren't I, Genevieve?
Yeah.
Are you a rageaholic? Kinda?
Yeah, kinda.
She better say yes. No,
yeah, I am.
You can shoot whatever you want. I don't care. It don't make any difference. So I'm going to try not to kill myself. Try and open this. I have a fresh blade and the sheetrock knife. Oh man, I like fresh blades. There is no comparison. You know, that's actually a very good point for talking about broadheads. Sharp is kind of important now, isn't it? So I just opened this, made a little incision in my hypodermic. We're using a lot of medical surgical terms, right? Made an incision there. So I'm going to try and get that out of there without killing myself with the little ring, which I have done, but oh, there's a bee. Don't need the help when I got a sharp broadhead in my hand and a bee lands on my hand. That's great. But now we got the rest of it. And this actually comes with a practice point too. We're not going to test the practice point today. So not in this live stream. So we're going to fetch an arrow, and then I'm going to get another one of these pro flights here. These have to be installed a certain way, but it's very easy to do. I've done it a million times. Genevieve's cocking her crossbow very nicely, getting that ready so that we keep this live stream moving. Here's your, well, I'll put it on here and show you what we're doing. How's that? We'll put it all together and make a rig out of it here. So we're gonna put that dude on there. There's nothing like a fresh broadhead. So this is the Rage Crossbow Hypodermic 100 grainer. I'm glad we're doing this without using those inserts so that the 100 grain stands on its own. But that's what it'll look like when it hits that tire, when it opens up, when it goes through that deer. That's a really nice design. What I like about it, that point, the hypodermic, that's where I think where it gets its name. And that's a good name for a nice pointy point like that. And then these blades, the profile of this when you're shooting it through the air is smaller. You don't have to tune it. You don't have to worry about it. It shoots like a field point. Pretty much it does. The collars are a little tricky. I actually shot deer with the collars not being properly installed. Can you believe that? I'm not kidding. I shot deer with it without it properly installed. Then I looked up videos on it and make sure I was doing it right, and sure enough I was. What I like about these, if you look at them, do you see where the little fingers, now that's how it would look when it's going through the air, when it makes contact with the deer, and you can see those little shelves that stick out there. When those make contact, it presses these blades open, and that's what goes through the deer like this. So that, what I like about it is that when it's fully open and deployed and going through the deer, you don't have a lot of profile of those little fingers sticking out. They aren't inhibiting the penetration. The downside of it is, in order to get that 2-inch cutting diameter, there's a pretty steep angle on these blades, right? I'm not going to touch them and show you, but I'm going to show you like this, right? But if these blades, that steeper angle does slow down your penetration. So we'll see how these perform. But to do this, we close it like that, and then we just screw it in place, right? Like that, very carefully. And I'm holding my fingers. These are not sharp here. It's sharp there, not sharp here. So I can put my fingers right on here. I've done this a million times. Can screw it right in place like that, and then once I get just about to my target, I hold it flat and kaboom. I got it just about lined up there. There we go, and that will work. Oop, my own worst enemy here. Birds are laughing at me. So there we go. I don't even use wrenches on these because I've never had problems. I have cut myself on these, but you get pretty good at it over time. So there's your broadhead. Closed and in flight, that's what it looks like. Real low profile. Not a lot of issues here. But it's, you know, nice sharp blades, you know, that are ready to go. But with the, I want to show you that too. That's how that collar goes on there. They make these with no collars now. I haven't used no collars, not, you know, I've still got a few packages of these. If I were going to use these, I've got a few packages of these. And I really like having the assurance of the collar being on here. I don't mind that. But once they're properly installed, you'll notice that that tab is what's holding that blade in place. And there's those little slots are on each side of it. That is the proper installation according to Rage. And that tab busts out. It'll bust through that tab. No problem. So they will open and deploy on contact going through that tire. Genevieve, take that very carefully. She does. And Genevieve's going to load it in there. You're getting her all set there, are you?
Yeah.
She's going to get that lined up, and we're going to switch you guys around, give you the front row seat of that poor tire. Looks like a pin cushion out here, all stuck up. So we're going to see how we make out here. We have some really neat, a lot of comments on here. My laptop, I don't really have enough to watch the live stream. I don't really have enough, what do you call it, you know, bandwidth here to really watch the live stream, but I am able to read some of the comments, so that's kind of nice. All right, we are locked and loaded. Miss Genevieve is going to take a shot here, aren't you, Genevieve?
Yep.
See what we got. Padunk. There you go.
Deflected down.
It did, huh? Oh,
Yeah,
she's saying it didn't.
Considerably.
Wow. The angle of the arrow?
Yep.
She said that went in there at a little bit of an angle. Interesting stuff. Now, I can't say that in the field that I have or haven't had problems with arrows, you know, hitting deer a little bit crooked, but it certainly is a possibility. Who knows? Don't usually use the 100 grainers out of that crossbow, but for this test, certainly not a problem. You noticed you didn't break any limbs, did you?
No.
There you go. Hopefully we stay good with that. We got two more broadheads. This is an unopened pack, but it kind of fell apart in shipping, or I don't know, being placed on the shelf or whatever else. So I'm going to go through and cut it. But, oh, I didn't really finish that thought. I have a sharp blade in here, a brand new blade in that my dad's old sheetrock knife, so I can use that. And wow, what a difference it makes to have sharp stuff. When you have sharp equipment, such as broadheads, you do a much better job. So the sharpness of these broadheads is relevant to tests like this. Now, I'm not going to go out and sharpen a broadhead just for the test, because that's up to the manufacturer. They got to sell me something that's sharp, right? They got to sell me a material that remains sharp. That's important too, and that's their job, not my job. Not my job to sharpen up their product. So, but it is what it is. Let's see if I can open this up. My big fingers on these little washers, and there's all these extra parts with these, some of these mechanicals. I know, you fixed blade guys, and I will say this too, and I totally believe this. I made this point in a previous live stream, but they make broadheads, which we are not shooting today, but it would be fun to shoot one of these. Maybe in a future live stream, we'll shoot one of these at the tire and see what happens. But man, I'd have to wear safety glasses with that. These are an actual plastic broadhead, but if you get a fixed blade broadhead shaped like this, that's going to penetrate. There's no question. I don't dispute that whatsoever. But there's trade-offs. There's trade-offs. I don't think I'd want to shoot that broadhead at a longer distance, even 30 yards for me. That's a long distance for me. But I also don't think that I want to play around with tuning them to make them fly straight and everything else. And I like a bigger cutting diameter. So if you want those trade-offs, you gotta accept the world of mechanicals, right, Genevieve? Not a big deal. Not a big deal. It's all trade-offs. It's all what, you know, and this is fun. This is fun. It's gonna be real fun to go out there and look at what happened. So the Trypan, wow, look at this broadhead.
That's
I really
a mean-looking broadhead.
That is a mean-looking broadhead. It is. It is indeed. This is the 150 grainer. It's heavier. When you look at this side by side with the Hypodermic, this is the granddaddy, right? This is the kid of the Hypodermic. This is a new generation of Hypodermic, really. But man, is this bad boy the real deal in comparison. It's like taking everything great about the Hypodermic, the point, the expandable, the 2-inch cutting diameter, the nice big blades, but it has turned them and put them on steroids. It's just 50 grains heavier, but it's got lock collars that are single use, but man, they're not going to open even on a faster crossbow. Not going to be a problem. Very easy to install compared to the other ones. It doesn't take all the finger maneuvering and the risk of your fingers. And look at that. It still maintains that beautiful 2-inch cutting diameter, but with a little bit more gentle slope when open. Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot. And in fact, we have package after package after package of these if we choose to use them going forward. And these little fingers, look how low profile that is. It's a little thicker than a hypodermic, but that's because the blade is a little thicker. But that doesn't really look like it's going to inhibit. It's not going to get filled up with fat from the deer, tissue, hair, and all that other stuff. It will a little bit. It will a little bit. But it's not going to ruin your shot. Not going to ruin your shot. And we don't want to shoot it open. That's not going to work. We're testing broadheads. They have to open. They have to open on their own during that test. It has a low profile. It shoots so nice. Look how low that profile is, right? And here's the funny thing. Genevieve had a great point that I should make. And I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm going to tell you that she made that point. When you look at this broadhead, right? A lot of people use fixed blade broadheads because, well, what if the mechanical one doesn't open, right? I get that. But when you look at this broadhead, the cutting diameter of this broadhead closed is still, I mean, that's going to kill a deer, even if it didn't open. And I mean, this is going to open. Those tabs are going to blow away. That thing is going to open. It is going to expand to that full 2 inches. But, you know, the people who use smaller diameter broadheads, the fixed blade broadheads, and say, well, in case it doesn't open, I don't have to worry about that. You know, that's their backup plan. They don't have to worry about a backup plan because it won't open. But the backup plan is kind of built into a broadhead that's already got that much exposure of blades. I mean, if your shot's perfect, that's all that matters. Okay.
The sharp part's already open.
The sharp part on these is already open, unlike the X-Act, right? But if this flies perfect and you make a good shot, even if it didn't open, you kill the deer, right? But man, if it does open,
you're really gonna kill that deer.
Yeah, you're really gonna kill that deer. I love these things, and I have been impressed with the performance of them. Penetration's a different issue, right? We're gonna see what this does for penetration, and that's what this test is about. I'm going to carefully hand that to Genevieve. She has accepted that arrow without cutting herself. We're gonna turn this bad boy around here one more time, and we are gonna take a fresh shot at our tire that's gonna need a lot of patches.
I wonder if it's gonna hold air after this.
It's not even gonna hold that water. All that water will set it up on its side, and it'll probably release all that water.
All right. Don't embarrass me, Trypan.
Boom! Yeah, look at that. Now, I will tell you what you're looking at, Genevieve, because she's like, how come that Trypan is sticking up in the air there? We are going to learn a lot on this test, and we'll see if we're learning it or if it's just confirming what I already knew. But that Trypan, that arrow, Genevieve's looking at that closely because she sees that arrow is angled up. Tell us what you're looking at, kid.
It's angled off to the right a little bit and a little bit up in the air.
All right. So it's not like you wouldn't describe it as perfectly in there, lined up the way you like.
No.
Necessarily. You a little disappointed with that, maybe? A little bit. Or concerned. The mechanicals, we'll see this when we get out there. Those mechanicals, they're going to do this when they open up because the blade's open and you don't know what's going to happen. There's trade-offs, right? When those blades open up, I have seen this happen in deer. I'm taking in, you know, the deer's angled a certain way and I take that shot. Lots of times I have seen that arrow go through the air and hit the deer and then turn and finish going through the deer, right? Like that. And what happens is those mechanicals, it hits there, the mechanicals open up, they catch, create resistance, and then all of a sudden that arrow goes through the deer and does all this. That's great if it goes through all the way through the deer. And most times it does on a good shot. If it goes all the way through the deer, holy cow, does it do damage because it's doing this for the deer. It turns your 2-inch broadhead into a 4-inch broadhead, right? You have seen the holes in deer that are 4 inches. And I'm not kidding, a 4-inch cut.
It makes like the skin fall off around it.
It does. Oh yeah, it does.
It does. Like peels away from the body.
It just is doing a multitude of damage, right? To use the old Rocky from Rocky 1, that term. Remember that? You ever fight a wrestler? You ever fight a dinosaur, Rock? They can do a multitude of damage, right? That's what it was. When he's fighting Hulk Hogan. No, actually that's in Rocky 3. What am I saying? Jeez, get your movie quotes right, bitch. But anyway, Rocky 3, multitude of damage. when those broadheads start doing that funny work on here, man, it does a lot of damage to a deer because it's doing that cutting all the way through. The downside of that is, you know, once an arrow starts doing this, it's not as efficient as an arrow that just does that, right? An arrow that goes straight through, straight as an arrow, that's a pretty efficient little arrow. That is not the case with all broadheads, right? They are not all created equal. And we have our last little competitor here. Woohoo!
I'm excited for this one.
Genevieve excited. I'm kind of excited about it too. I've never shot it. This is an unopened package. I just sliced along here and removed one. I removed one that already had the little bandy on it, right? They don't use the little spindly looking thin rubber band on there, but it's giving Genevieve like memories of going to the dentist and getting the braces.
Oh, jeez.
The little rubber band you put on your braces. But anyway, so we'll see what that does. But those, I want to look at one. Let me see if I can get this big guy out of there. That's what they're going to look like. Actually, I'll just show you the box. I don't want to take it out.
It's the diameter of my fist.
Yeah, her fist is actually at 3 inches. Like, it's a 3-inch cut. So 3 inches, but that's a real steep angle. That is a momentum sucking angle right there, right? Think about it this way. When that hits something, right, that angle, imagine if this was straight out, right? It would hit, or if you had a plunger, a broadhead shaped like a plunger, hit a deer, it's going to stop that arrow, right? The closer you get to straight, like you start angling down, this goes through a deer a lot easier. Even if it branches out to 2 inches, I suspect that a broadhead that was real steep like this would go through a deer easier than a broadhead that is angled like this. And if we looked at the ranges, I showed you those are angled like this. This dude isn't even angled like this box. This thing is angled real wide, right? Real wide. And that is a momentum sucking design. However, and this is a big however, it don't look like that when it hits the deer. It looks like that when it hits the deer, okay? It's going to hit the deer, or the tire in this case, looking like that, supposedly. And then, and only then, once this point is already in there, once the points of those blades are already in that deer, inside that tire, then these little dudes hit, and they open up, and they open up the blade on the inside, and the pressure from the inside will open up those blades, push it through the deer. This just holds it closed. This little thing here just holds it closed. In the meantime, that little band. So, you shouldn't see a 3-inch hole in that tire. If we saw a 3-inch hole in that tire, this is only going to get this much penetration. Like, that's all you're going to get. So this should actually be inside the tire when those blades open. The tips of those blades are clear up in here. So when they fold down, it should be dangling open on the inside of that tire. There is a blade on these. Now, these aren't a blunt tip. Okay, notice that.
I like that.
I like that too, because if it doesn't open, it's going to open. This little flimsy thing isn't going to keep it from opening in a deer, but because these blades are sharp right through here, you can't even see them. They're protected inside that ferrule. But if it didn't open, you got a 1-inch cut here going into the deer. If it does open, these fold out. Those blades are actually, oh no, I'm sorry. Those blades are not sharp right there, I don't think. We got to get one of these out and see how they work. That's correct. They are not sharp right there. It's the force of it that's going to open it. Yeah, and you can see it there. It's not sharp. The blunt side of that blade is going to push through that band. That's what's going to happen and break that band. So you do want a flimsy band there. But nonetheless, yeah, if it was sharp, it would probably open too prematurely. That would risk that. That makes sense. So hopefully they've tested it and figured it out so that these don't open in flight. But we're going to find out. If there's a 3-inch hole in that tire, you're going to see a difference in penetration either way. But hopefully this low profile design flies accurately. That's the other thing. With that lower profile design going through the air, it is going to make it a little easier on life going through the air and getting a straight shot. Genevieve, I will hand you that, and we were going to see. I'm going to get another drink of water here while you're farting around with that. I'm going to zoom you in, and then we're going to go look at our tire and check out the results.
The grand finale, everybody. Ooh, it sticks out past my stirrup.
Uh-oh. Oh. Well, I want you to stand up and come over here and show people that. Genevieve, what a good observation on Genevieve's part. Look at, lift it up just a hair, right there. Look how it sticks out a little bit past her stirrup. Turn that sideways so we can see what you're talking about. See that? It actually sticks out a little bit past her stirrup. I don't think I like that. Interesting.
A little.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little bit of a an issue. Let me talk about that real quick. You can sit down and get ready for your shot. I prefer to have the end of that arrow protected inside that stirrup. That's the point of having a stirrup, especially when you got a crank. You don't really need a stirrup. It helps to cock it with a foot in the stirrup, but you don't really need it because we're not cocking it the way that you traditionally cocked a crossbow, like Bunjie, right? The rope cocker. But I don't like the fact that sticks out because I need that stirrup to protect the arrow. If I'm sitting in a blind, I set the crossbow down. I don't want that arrow protruding out past the end of the crossbow. I want it to be protected by the stirrup. Interesting. It's just a long broadhead. These things are a long broadhead. And that ferrule sticks out so far, right, that it, for those long blades, to get those 3-inch blades, you're adding an inch to the length of the broadhead because, well, yeah, you're adding some length, right, half an inch at least to that broadhead. Is it sitting nice in here or what?
Yeah, I'm going to turn it on its side, though.
Okay, I'm just making sure she's getting set up for her shot. And we're going to shoot the Swa-hacker at the tire and see how we make out. Boom! It looks straight, doesn't it?
It's a little up in the air, not too bad, though.
All right, it's a little bit of an angle.
A little bit.
But we're doing pretty good. So, now here's the moment of truth.
We have some surprising results, I'll say that.
She's surprised. She is surprised. I'm handing her the tape. I'm going to have her go out there. And we'll have her go out there. What she's doing. Don't pull anything out. Don't.
No,
oh,
like
okay.
Right up against on the outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right on the outside. Yeah, she just asked me what she's doing. Yeah.
Smell the tire.
She says you can smell the tire. We're opening up a can of tire in here. So the choices again. We shot 6 broadheads. We did the Rage Hypo, the Trypan, the Swa-hacker, the X-Act, the Boltcutter, and the 100 grain Tru Glo. Right, 100 grainer. So those were the choices. We have shot each of those. We're going to write on here the penetration results. I'm going to get my pen, which I said I would never need again, but now I need. And where are you? What did I do? I threw it over here. Like, oh, I don't need that anymore. Just throw it over there. Just so you know, I have our results, right? Set them there. Our guesses, and I'm going to go back and look at your guesses. Got a pen. Genevieve is out there. I'm hoping I don't lose internet, okay? What we're going to try to do, and if I lose you, let me just, boy, I sat for a while. What I'm going to try to do is go out there so that we can see what we got. I'm going to take this tripod right out there. If I lose you guys, if something were to happen and I lose internet access, then I apologize for that in advance, and that bee is back. I apologize for that in advance. If I lose you, I'll restart a live stream with internet access. How about that? But hopefully the results will be part of the same live stream. If I step too far away from the house, there's always that risk that I lose you. So we're going to switch this around, and I'll show you what Genevieve's doing. She is placing blue tape on here, so when we pull them out, we'll know exactly what we're dealing with. See what I mean? That way we can measure up to the tape, because we are scientific, aren't we, Genevieve?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. This doesn't matter at all if we're not scientific. There's a little bit of difference, isn't there? Wow. It's kind of surprising. There's your, I don't know the order of them. We're going to find out. You know how you tell which one's which?
Started here. Went that way.
Yeah, you don't have to, it doesn't matter what order we're in because we're just going to look at the broadhead. Each one. Yeah. I can tell you there's a lot of room for discussion here. We learned a lot in this. I knew kind of what was going on here a little bit because you think about these things, like I've commented before, you need to keep your eyes open and your mind open about everything you're doing constantly in this business and evaluate all of the data. When you do something and a deer does something, you learn from that experience. Hopefully that's what makes you better the next time you go out. You should be reading every book out there, every forum out there, constantly digesting that information, watching all the YouTube videos. Every YouTube video on this topic helps in some way, but it all needs to be assimilated through your brain. You need to think about everything that you come in contact with and evaluate that. How does that work for me and my crossbow hunting method? Not necessarily how does it work for the world's universal crossbow hunting method, because there really shouldn't be a universal crossbow hunting method. There should only be yours. right? I only employ the Death by Bunjie one. Genevieve is developing her own crossbow method. That's just how that works. So hopefully we can do that, and I can continue to add this information to the crossbow hunting method. Now, Miss Genevieve, can you do me? Let's do, first of all, so I can stay closer to the house and not lose anything, could you please rotate that tire toward me so that all the spinies are sticking out over here, all the pointies? Yeah.
It's looking like the hog I shot last year.
Tell them that again in case they missed it.
It looks like Hogzilla, the boar I shot at the meet and greet last year. 3 times, finally got it.
That's priceless. Oh, that's beautiful. That was worth the live stream right there. I'm going to do a table of contents when we rewatch this.
Okay.
And that's going into the table of contents.
My goal this year is to use one, not all these.
Okay. Well, we shot at a tire with a 355 feet per second crossbow, and you can see the water in the tire. But we shot at this tire with a 355 feet per second micro suppressor from Excalibur, shooting 345 feet per second. And we'll start with each broadhead first, and looking at this dude, right? I'm going to get where's my shadow not going to be in the shot the whole time. That opened. You know how I know? I can see it right there. That's the Tru Glo, and it opened. All 4 blades deployed. Look at that. You can tell because you can see where they sliced. But it didn't even penetrate the tire. And it went at and that's why at an angle.
It is sticking through.
Careful, you got sharp blades.
No, I know.
Here.
I'm being really careful. Just the little tiny tip is sticking
All right,
through.
get where you can see the next arrow and tell me what it is.
Okay. This is...
Moving my own way here. Actually, I'm going to break this right off of here. How's that? I'll take that right off the tripod. There we
This
go.
is the exact...
The Exact from Excalibur.
Yep.
Opened up, but I can see that broadhead. We don't even need tape. Don't even need tape. I can see that broadhead right there, and it barely opened on impact because it has part of a blade there, and it's a 3 blade, and that's all it got. Those are the thumbs that went through there, the little fingers that went through there. Next, Miss Genevieve.
This is, I believe, the bolt cutter.
That's the bolt cutter.
Yeah, he's sticking way out in here.
Look at that,
on the
dude.
inside.
And I think that's our winner for penetration without even looking at them further.
Yeah.
Really, we have 2 classes of penetration on this, by the looks of things.
Yeah.
We have fixed blade versus
there's
mechanical.
3.
There is?
You'll see it.
Okay. All right. Going on to the next dude. That one I can tell is our Rage Crossbow Hypodermic because it did not even completely penetrate. But man, did it open. It did open, and it has a nice 2-inch gash in it. You can see the blade sticking out, but those things were going in there. Next, we have the Trypan, exactly the same thing, only bigger, right? The blades are sticking out, a little bit bigger cut. We'll measure the penetration when we pull them out of there, but there's really almost no point in even measuring the penetration. You know, you got the broadhead length of penetration on each of the mechanicals. And then lastly, we have the Swa-hacker. The Swa-hacker. And what do we got?
The whole broadhead is on the inside.
The whole broadhead is on the inside. And we'll look at the actual cut. And
you see the band.
The band is folded off. The band was left on the outside.
Looks like a 1-inch cut on the outside.
Oh yeah, right there's the cut. That's the blade. Okay, so the blades did a little bit of a cut. So now here's what we're going to do, Miss Genevieve, and this is not a job. Oh, this is going to be easy. This is an easy job. An easy job.
Yeah.
Get your black marker. Go fetch a black marker and write on each of the tapes which broadhead it was, because we're going to unscrew the broadheads and the arrows and pull them out. She can work on that. So, without looking any further, there are really just 2 classes of broadheads here in terms of penetration in a tire. And that is fixed blade, which gives you, it didn't have to open, didn't exert any energy on impact, went right into the deer, opened it right up, not a problem, versus the mechanicals, right? Even the Swhacker. I'd say that that's better, but really it's the fact that you've got a 2-inch hole going in that's going to give you this problem. The 1-inch hole going in just gave it more penetration. I want to know if that broadhead opened, and we're going to sneak around here and I'll see if I can get that down in here. I can't see it. I don't know. Can you tell if that's open? I can't see.
I can't really tell.
See if you can get a light or something figured out. So I'm going to take this back over here. Okay, see if I can do this. See if I can get back over here.
I have a light.
So, ooh. It's cool. I just realized, you know what's going to be hard to figure out, and that is who the winners are in our contest. Oh, is that going to be hard? Because the answer is going to be like almost the same, right? It's like the winner, second winner, and everybody else. Is it open?
Partially. One of the blades is like almost all the way out, and the other one's barely out.
I want to look at those blades, so if you can carefully get them off of... No, you can't.
I can unscrew it now. I'll just write on the arrow. Get it.
All right. Make sure you write on them first. We're doing that first. Then she's going to bring me the arrows. After she's writing which arrow was shot on each one. Really isn't that hard to figure this stuff out. So, all right, I will go back and watch. And anybody that got exactly the answers, maybe we'll post a follow-up video today with who won and why, right? I'll post a little follow-up video on that. And then we'll do something this week. Last week was Speed Week on Death by Bunjie on Crossbow Appreciation Month. I was thinking that for future Crossbow Appreciation Months, we should do something on Broadhead Week, right? There should be a Broadhead Week. Like every year we can do a week worth of videos on broadheads that are fun. This was a blast to me. I thought, you have a fun time, kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, she liked it. She's bringing me a Swhacker. I'm not even saying that. Jeez. Okay, thank you. Oh, it's hot. Holy cow, it's still hot from going through that.
Is it really?
It was a little warm. It was alarmingly warm.
I just held it by the tip. I couldn't tell.
It's not hot. It's alarmingly warm after going through that tire.
I thought you got cut on it or something.
No, but it's like, no. Okay, I'm going to show you that Swhacker. Swa-hacker. Shwacker. All right, so are you ready? That's what it looks like going through a tire. Man, it's got a lot of tire left over on it. Now, a couple of observations here. Deer are not tires, right? This is going to cut a deer in half. Can you imagine if I shot my Sika deer with this thing? Can you imagine that? There would be 2 deer I would have to load in the truck. I'd probably have to use 2 tags by the time I was done with this. This thing, wow, what a cutting diameter. That going through the other end of that deer.
Or a tree stand. Imagine what that would do.
The what?
A tree stand. Shooting down on it.
Oh, yeah. That would be a nice angle. I mean, it'll open up stuff on the bottom. And there's trade-offs in this business. If I shot that buck in Maryland, the one where the broadhead didn't open, maybe that didn't happen or whatever. If I hit that deer with this thing, probably I'd found that deer because it makes a difference. I think the bigger cutting diameter, it's just obvious that it makes a difference. If everything goes as planned and it goes for the deer and you get a bigger cutting diameter, that's way better and way more help in finding a deer than a smaller cutting diameter. There's no question about that. But by the same token, if all the penetration you get, and it even broke off, it broke off the one little tabby. That blade broke off. That's probably still in the rubber. And then this one, it bent real, you know, I don't reuse mechanicals anyway. But really, there's no comparison in this. Each one of them, if anything, I would say that the Trypan 150 penetrated a little better than some of the other ones. This one definitely penetrated the farthest, but it's the biggest broadhead. It penetrated an extra ½ inch because it's a ½ inch longer. The Trypan penetrated a little bit better than the Hypodermic because the Trypan just happens to be a bigger broadhead, right? But the same amount of blades is sticking out. And the bolt cutter, what's that look like?
It is now in 2 pieces.
Oh, the bolt cutter broke going through the tire.
The tip's moving.
Oh, that screws on and off.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow, is that chewed up? Wow, is that chewed up? Look at that. That's all. That was not serrated when I shot at it. Someone had asked whether these were steel banded tires. I'm thinking the answer is yes. Because, man, look at that.
Everything is just shredded in here.
Yeah, look at that. But this one was definitely our penetration winner. But, man, it's worked up good. Man, look at that. So, yeah, there's your winner for sure. Does it mean that I'm going back to a bolt cutter? Absolutely not. It does not mean that. I'm not going back to tuning those things and whatever. So, but That is what it is. So, do you need an arrow puller?
I don't know if that would help.
The Boltcutter's the winner. If you can bring me the other ones, that's fine. I don't know why I'm turning that, but all right. Let's do the reveal of our winner. I don't want to finish this. Can you get some of them out, do you think?
Yep.
You get them all but the Boltcutter? All right, hold on. You don't have to bring that one. Bring the other ones. She's got the Swhacker. The Swhacker arrow won't come out. We'll get it out. And the Boltcutter arrow won't come out, okay?
Yeah.
Those two...
For reference, the Shwacker's up to about here.
Yeah, the Swhacker we know is number 2, okay? So your list should have on it, this way we'll have our answers, all right? I've got our original list, and we know that the Swhacker is number 2, okay? Put a little sloppy 2 there. And then we know that the Boltcutter is number 1. So your answer should be 1 and 2, if that's what your guess was. So we know that the Boltcutter was number 1 and number 2. That's really beyond dispute because they're the ones you couldn't get out. So they're the 2 tops. The rest of
I'm not exaggerating.
Which one is this? You didn't write on it.
Oh, that's the Tru Glo.
And what's this one? Oh, you did write on that one. Okay, yeah. You wrote on all of them except for the Tru Glo. All right, that's fine.
You know what one that one is, though.
Okay, I'll show you why I'm laughing. The Tru Glo was our first shot. That was the hunt. It was a 4-blade mechanical, 1 3/4 inch, 100 grainer, right? 100 grainer mechanical, and that's the one. Look at this. This is
the tape was fully on the broadhead.
The tape is 1/4 of an inch on the broadhead. I can tell you by looking at the remainder of these, that's number 6, right? That was the least penetrating. Friend of Bunjie, Jim, who gave me this. Thank you for that broadhead. Take these results now he's had great success with these, right? Shooting deer, okay? You take these results and then you incorporate them. Doesn't mean that you don't use this broadhead. That doesn't necessarily mean that, right? It doesn't undo the success that he's had. It doesn't undo all the information that he has from those various hunts where he has used this broadhead. This is just something that you add to it. And maybe it makes a difference if you're shooting at bears or wild hogs or moose or something like that. So that one is definitely number 6 though, because it did not even, like, she's got 1/4 of, there's the end of the arrow, okay? So 1/4 of an inch more of that tape was actually on the broadhead, which is still in the tire. So that's number 6. I'll just take the next one, appears to be the Trypan. I can tell you I didn't win. Yeah. The Trypan is going to be number 5 because the tape fully covers it and was in fact on the broadhead. And we saw that sticking out of there. Now technically the Trypan got more penetration, but I'm going by the tape. The Trypan probably had more broadhead in there because it's a longer ferrule on that, bigger, longer point on the end of it. But the tape is over the end of the arrow. So the Trypan is number 5. Genevieve's snapping her fingers. Shucks.
Yep, 5.
Yep, 5. Am I doing it right? Okay.
Yep.
So I got our list. So that's the end of that one. The end of the Trypans. The hypo, though, the hypodermic would be next because if you look at the hypodermic, we have tape all the way into it. Basically, it's the end of it. So that would be 4.
Yep.
And then number 3, wow. Oh, yeah, number 3, which just doesn't, not too surprising. But we got a little bit of penetration with the X-Act. That does make sense to me. But we got about 1/4 of an inch onto the arrow itself with the tape.
It's a small diameter.
And that would be number 3. So that's a smaller diameter. That's 100% of the reason. Our answers, I will assemble all of this. I'm going to go rewatch this. I'll put it together. I'll give you the comments. I'll respond to comments when I watch it because I can watch all those. Oh, we got to look at ours.
Yeah.
Give them here.
Okay.
Our 2 guesses. We'll do that, and then I'm going to give you an update and go through it, and I'll look at it. I'm going to do, who do you want to do first, Genevieve or me?
You.
And we're doing me first. All right. See how bad I did, all right? So this one says raw on it. These are our sealed results, the tests, and we have our answer there. I'm opening it up, and Viola, I'm pulling that out of there. Our answers. The order of penetration. I picked Swhacker, Boltcutter, X-Act, Tru Glo, Trypan, Hypodermic. Holy cow, that is all out of whack. All out of whack. Number one, my Swhacker actually was number 2 on our penetration list. So I did not win Genevieve's list. But the Swhacker and Boltcutter, I picked number 1 and 2. Really, the truth is, if you got 1 and 2 kind of in the ballpark, there's really no comparison here. But I don't know why. And here's the thing too. On here, I wrote Boltcutter, and then I scratched it out and put Swhacker, and then I put Boltcutter after it.
Shouldn't have second guessed yourself. I saw you hesitate when you were writing it. I saw you stop and pause for a minute.
When I was hesitating when I wrote it. I put down the answer of what I wanted it to be. Right? That's what I picked. The train's going by now. Hopefully you can hear me, but I knew the Boltcutter was going to win. But I scratched it out and put Swhacker and then Boltcutter. So, whatever. It is what it is. Genevieve's right here. I'm opening that up. I can't wait to see what this is. Are you ready?
I don't even remember what I put.
She doesn't even remember, she says.
I don't remember what I put.
We'll pull this out of here. Oh, Genevieve!
What, did I do good?
You didn't get them all right, but man, did she do good. This is Genevieve's list. I'll cover
What is
me
it?
up.
Read it.
Let me do that, not this. You picked them in the right order, right down the top. Boltcutter,
Where did I go wrong? What one?
Swhacker, Exact. Get my loser list out of the way. So 1 was the Boltcutter, 2 was the Swhacker, 3 is the Exact. You got that right. What else you got on here? The Trypan you had for number 4, but number 4 was actually the Hypodermic. And then you had the Tru Glo, and then you actually picked the Hypodermic as last, but it really was the Tru Glo. So as you got to the least one. But the big deal is here, the big takeaway for Genevieve is she was right on the Boltcutter and the Swhacker. Wow, kid, I'm proud of you. And the Exact, really. But that's a smaller diameter. Wow. I am really impressed with Genevieve and her ability to pick a broadhead. Holy cow. Well, does this change? It's way too soon to tell. But Genevieve, does this change what you're going to be hunting with this year for whitetail? Does it change what you're going to be hunting with this weekend, next coming weekend, for the 3rd ever Death by Bunjie meet and greet?
It's tempting. It's very tempting, I won't lie.
I don't know that we switch now because we got a week before the meet and greet, but obviously if you're going to the meet and greet shooting a 500-pound Hogzilla or something like that, whatever we shoot this year, we'll see. It's going to be a surprise, right, for everybody, including us and including the pig. So we'll find out this weekend, but what they get shot with, that's kind of a surprise too. We'll have to wait and see. I'm kind of excited about that.
So am I.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. So it really gives you food for thought. I joked at the beginning of this that we had, in fact, both kinds of broadheads. And we had the Rage Hypodermic and the Rage Trypan, both kinds. But in fact, there are 2 kinds. There are fixed blade broadheads, and then there's everybody else when we talk about penetration. Now, if we're doing accuracy tests at 40 yards, we probably have a different winner. Right? I'm betting. But so again, trade-offs, right? So it's food for thought. This is food for thought. It's very interesting stuff. Had a good time this morning with this live stream. Lots of people on here. I appreciate you guys, all the comments. I 100% am going back through. I am going to go through and watch this live stream, and I am going to comment on it, and I'll go through, read the comments, and I'll put like a little synopsis in the description for anybody watching this later on. You can go back and see a table of contents going through at each shot, and I'll go through and put in a table of contents, but also a description of my response to any of the comments and things that I thought about. And we definitely 100% we'll be doing this again in the future, and 100% we'll be talking about the results of today down the road, won't we? We really will. What do you think of that? You all set? Until next time.
All hail Bunjie Jr.
You did a great job today. You did a great job.
Thanks.
Great job today, kid. All hail Bunjie Jr. We'll see you guys. Take care.